Count 8, he sentenced to 7 years in prison.
Mosha yachi 8 matungira ndari kutingogara kujeri kwemakore ari pana 7.
Count number 7 and count number 8 are going to understand.
Mosha yachi 7 nemosha yachi 8 muchange muchinodzirikira pamakore aya pamwe chete.
Count 9, you are sentenced to 20 years in prison.
Mosha yachi 9 ndari rinoda kutongira kutingogara kujeri kwemakore ari pana 20.
There are moments, rare moments, when a courtroom does something that makes an entire country stop and breathe again. When justice does not take 10 years. When justice does not disappear into paperwork and appeals and delays. When justice walks in, looks a criminal in the eye, and says, "You will not hurt another person again." Yesterday, Zimbabwe had one of those moments. His name is Animo Zwitsva, and for months, his name alone was enough to make entire communities in Guruve and Mvurwi lock their doors at night. He raped women. He attempted to murder people. He robbed. He terrorized. He left a trail of pain and blood across 2 districts and kept going. And yesterday, he stood in a Harare courtroom, in front of a magistrate, in front of the First Lady of Zimbabwe, in front of the women he had hurt and the country that had been waiting, and he pleaded guilty to all 10 charges, every single one. And Harare magistrate Francis Mapfumo looked at him and handed down a sentence that Zimbabwe has almost never seen before. 89 years in prison, not 10 years, not 20 years, 89 years. And today, Zimbabwe is applauding. This is the story of Animo Zwitsva and why his sentence means so much more than just one man going to jail. Before we continue, share this story right now. Share it with every woman you know, every mother, every sister, every daughter, because this story is not just about punishment. It is about what happens when a justice system finally says, "Enough, share it." Then let us tell the full story. To understand why this sentence matters so much, you first have to understand what Animo Zwitsva did. This was not one crime. This was not one moment of violence. This was a campaign of terror carried out against some of the most vulnerable people in 2 Zimbabwean communities, Guruve and Mvurwi, areas located in Mashonaland Central Province. Zwitsva went from place to place. He targeted women, he raped, he attacked, he tried to kill, he robbed. When he appeared before Magistrate Francis Mapfumo, he was facing 10 charges that the magistrate's court could deal with directly. 4 counts of rape, 5 counts of attempted murder, 1 count of robbery, 10 charges. And he stood up and said, "Guilty" to every single one of them. But here is the part that makes this case even more serious. Those 10 charges are not everything. Zwitsva is still facing more than 15 counts of murder, killings committed around Guruve and Mvurwi that are so serious they must be tried at the High Court. 15 suspected murders still to come. This man was not a criminal. He was a predator, moving through communities, leaving death and trauma behind him. And in his ruling, Magistrate Mapfumo said exactly that. He said Zwitsva committed heinous crimes in aggravating circumstances and must be incarcerated for a lengthy period to protect society. 89 years, effective imprisonment. He will not be breathing free air again. There is something very significant about how this sentencing happened. It did not happen quietly in an empty courtroom. It happened in front of First Lady Auxilia Mnangagwa, who has made the fight against gender-based violence one of the central causes of her public life. Her presence in that courtroom sent a message that the highest levels of Zimbabwe's leadership were watching, that this case was not going to be swept under a rug, that women and girls in Guruve and Mvurwi and across Zimbabwe deserved to see this man face real consequences in front of the nation. And the response from those working on women's rights was immediate. Women and Law in Southern Africa Executive Director Ishanesu Chirisa said, and we are paraphrasing, that the conviction and sentencing was welcomed, particularly the relative swiftness with which justice was delivered in such a heinous case involving violence against women and girls. She said, crimes of this nature strike at the very core of human dignity, at the safety and constitutional rights of women and girls to live free from violence and fear. She also said the outcome demonstrated the importance of an effective justice delivery system that responded decisively and without undue delay in cases involving serious violent offenses, without undue delay. Those three words are important because in many parts of Africa, justice delays for years. Cases disappear. Survivors give up hope. Perpetrators walk free while the paperwork piles up. In this case, Zimbabwe moved fast, and that speed is part of what makes this story powerful. 89 years is a massive sentence, but Zvitva is not alone in Zimbabwe's record books. Zimbabwe has actually developed a pattern, a deliberate pattern, of handing down very long sentences for violent crimes, especially sexual violence. Listen to these numbers. Aaron Sanyamawe, a 36-year-old man from Chitungwiza, was handed an 80-year prison sentence after being convicted of 4 counts of rape. Charles Magombedze, a serial rapist, received 72 years. 3 armed robbers in Beitbridge received a combined 130 years. And in 2014, Thomas Shirembwe was sentenced to an unprecedented 290 years in prison for a series of rape offenses. 290 years. These sentences work by running multiple counts, meaning multiple crimes, one after the other, not at the same time, one after the other. So if a man commits 4 rapes, he does not serve the sentence for just one rape. He serves the sentence for the first rape, and then the second, and then the third, and then the fourth, all in a row. The message from Zimbabwe's courts is very clear. If you commit multiple violent crimes against multiple people, you will serve time for every single one of them. This approach is designed to do one thing above everything else: protect the public. Make sure that a man who has shown he is willing to rape, rob, and kill cannot come out of prison while he still has the physical ability to do it again. But here is where this story must go deeper, because as important as this sentence is, it cannot be the end of the conversation. Ishanisu Chirisa from Women and Law in Southern Africa said something that every Zimbabwean and every African needs to hear. She said this case is a painful reminder of the urgent need to strengthen prevention mechanisms, community protection systems, survivor support services, and accountability frameworks around gender-based violence. Prevention, not just punishment. Because Zivitsva did not attack once and stop. He attacked and attacked and attacked again across 2 districts over a period of time, which means communities saw something, knew something. And for whatever reason, fear, shame, lack of trust in the system, the attacks continued before justice caught up. Gender-based violence in Zimbabwe and across Africa is not a rare or unusual problem. It is a daily reality for millions of women and girls. In too many communities, a woman who reports rape before she is believed. In too many police stations, a woman's report is filed and forgotten. In too many courts, cases drag on for years while survivors wait in silence. This is why the speed and firmness of this sentence matters so much. It sends a message not just to criminals, it sends a message to survivors. It says, if you come forward, we will take you seriously. It says, if you report, the system will respond. It says, your pain matters, your dignity matters. Your right to live free from violence matters. That message, delivered through the action of a magistrate in Harare yesterday, is more powerful than any speech. 89 years. That number will stay in Zimbabwe's memory for a long time. And it should, because behind that number are real women, real survivors, real families in Guruve and Muvurwi who have been living in fear and who can now breathe a little easier. Behind that number is a justice system that, at least in this case, did not fail. It moved, it listened, it acted. And it said clearly that in Zimbabwe, violence against women and girls will not be tolerated. Zvitsva still has 15 suspected murder charges waiting for him at the High Court. The full weight of what he did is still being counted. But yesterday, justice moved, and Zimbabwe noticed. The women who were too afraid to walk to the market noticed. The mothers who locked their children inside at night noticed. The survivors who wondered if anyone would ever be held responsible noticed. Swift justice is not just a legal outcome, it is a statement of values. It says, we see you, we believe you, and we will fight for you. Zimbabwe got that right yesterday. Now the work continues. In every community, every police station, every courtroom, and every home across the country. Because the best tribute to every survivor of Zwitser's violence is a Zimbabwe where the next predator never gets the chance to hurt the first person.